ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. My name is Charima. Thanks for joining me. This is Kikuyu channel. Thanks so much for being part of it, and thanks so much for taking your time to allow me to give you some Kikuyu skills and let you know, or let you get to know my Kikuyu culture and basically get you to know my language. I've been speaking a lot about my language. I've been giving a lot of practices and lessons in this channel about the Kikuyu language. But today we're not going to learn anything about the language. Today we're going to go back to our culture, and that is we're going to learn about circumcision, which is also called Irua. Irua is circumcision in, excuse me. Irua is circumcision in Kikuyu, and it was one of those most celebrated events in a traditional Kikuyu society. Even today, as we talk now, circumcision is very much acknowledged and one of the very big celebrations that we still have in our Kikuyu culture, and it is very much celebrated also. Basically, Irua or circumcision is practiced to young boys which are approaching the age of 15 or 14 going to 16. This is what is done now as we speak in our 21st century. Now, it is basically most of the times done towards the end of the year. That means when the children have already done, if you are learning, if you are doing your schooling in Kenya, basically after class 8 or after the last class of primary school, which is standard 8 or class 8, that's when circumcision or korua is done. And as I said earlier before, circumcision is only practiced in boys. It used to be practiced to girls as well. That is like 2 centuries ago. Circumcision was very common and it was done between boys and girls, which is also called Irua, Rea Nake na Airetu. But due to so many controversies that were coming up, and people who were fighting for the women rights, even not only religious leaders but also political leaders from all over the world, the female circumcision has been completely taken away and completely cancelled from the traditions or from the society due to the side effects that it has brought to women and also to young girls, which also became very traumatizing to their lives as young women, and it was of no benefit basically. So what happened, the boys circumcision is the only thing that is practiced up to now, up to date. So the girl circumcision is no longer done, and that involves the the girl circumcision involves the clitoridectomy. That is how it's called. So it is no longer done or no longer practiced. How actually, there could be places or there could be areas in the world or even in Africa, wherever it is, that still practice this. But I think it is completely illegal to do that female mutilation or clitoridectomy or the female circumcision. It is illegal, and I would not advise anyone to go through that. So let's go ahead and concentrate on what we have today. We have the male circumcision, which is Irua rea anake. Irua meaning circumcision. Anake, or no, Irua rea imwana. Irua rea imwana. Imwana are those boys before they have matured up to big men or to anake. So this is what we are going to concentrate on today. And remember, we have so many stages in the Kikuyu history, or in the Kikuyu traditional life. So I'm not going to go on to other stages. I remember there's a video I did earlier before about the stages of Kikuyu, of the stages of of life in the Kikuyu tradition, and I mentioned, I think, 1 or 2, 3 things, but we're not going to go there. We're going to go straight to circumcision. So to let you know, there are different stages of the Kikuyu life. There are different stages in the Kikuyu traditional life, and these include birth, which is basically called Goshiaro. Goshiaro is that stage of being born, or being the first time coming to this world. Goshiaro, that is the first stage of the Kikuyu life stages. Again, the second one is child naming. When the child is born, the child is given a name, and this name has a procedure on how it gets to that child. So that is also an event and also a ceremony that is called child naming. The third one is ear piercing, or the second birth, which involved that time, like centuries ago, like almost 2 centuries ago, where the ears were pierced. I remember one of my great grandmother used to have that big ear pierced, and it was hanging like really down until here. So this is this is the rite of passage that was called child naming or ear piercing. I mean, second childbirth and ear piercing. The fourth one is circumcision, and that is what we are saying. It is the passage from childhood to adulthood. And the fifth one was marriage. I think I spoke about marriage in my previous videos. So just get back to my videos earlier before and maybe educate yourself about the marriage process in Kikuyu. And the last one is elderhood, which involves the person or the individual getting to the group of the elders in the society or in the village, which was called Itora, elderhood. And he or she, let's say the man, was called Moduri wa Kiama. Kiama being that group, Moduri wa Kiama, that is elderhood. So we are not going to go into details into that. We're going to basically concentrate on circumcision. And without wasting much time, let's get started. Now, of all the Kikuyu stages, circumcision, Irua, which we said is called Irua in Kikuyu, was and remains by far the most significant, the most important, signifying not only a child's passage into adulthood, but also other socially significant meaning and assumptions of responsibilities. For both boys and girls, initiation into adulthood through circumcision or clitoridectomy, which is no longer practiced today, um, clitoridectomy marks their admission into full membership of Kikuyu society. Through circumcision and the period of initiation, instructions that accompanied it and that accompanied it and instructions that accompanied it, an individual became a full participant in the society as a whole, as a became a full participant in the society as a whole beyond the scope of a village Itora and their families. So the responsibilities therefore extended not just to their family group but to Kikuyu as a nation. The social consequence of a boy's excuse me. The social consequence of a boy's circumcision meant that he will now become a warrior and would spend several years in the service of the entire people to defend and to protect and occasionally okay. The social consequence of a boy's circumcision meant that he will now become a warrior and will spend several years in the service of the entire people to defend and to protect the society from people who came to attack the tribe. Uncircumcised boy would remain a boy even if he lived to 90 years. He would also be barred from getting married and raising children. This is very serious because even up to date, a man who has not been circumcised, that's a big shame to the Kikuyu society. Actually, a man who has not undergone this initial stage of circumcision, Irua in Kikuyu, is referred to Kehe, which is it sounds like a very demeaning word, somehow abusive in a way, but the reality is the man who has not undergone the knife, even today, is still not accepted by other men. He's still not accepted in the society, and not only in the society but also from his fellow men, from his fellow masculine colleagues, and it is a shame. Actually, it is a big shame, and you will find out that there are still a few of them, very few. You'll once in a while you hear stories about that, and what happens to this kind of men is that they tend to hide. They tend to hide themselves because they don't have the confidence to come out. Because if any man or if any of their fellow men discovers that they are not circumcised, that can be an ugly scene. They might be forced and brutally forced to undergo the knife, which is not nice at all. There have been stories going on once in a while, and I don't want to speak about this because it is really not nice. And this refers to men or to boys or to young men that are basically living in Kenya. Because in the Western world, that's a different case. We are speaking about people who are living in Kenya, who are Kikuyus in Kenya. That's what is happening. Now let's go back. Okay. For a girl, circumcision meant she was able to bear children, and marriage was usually swift to follow. Once a woman was circumcised, or once the woman went under female mutilation, he was basically ready to marry, ready to raise kids, and ready to start a family with a man. So it was a sign of being matured. Just as we also say, just as it appears to the boys or to the young men. It's believed that the system of circumcision was borrowed from Kushites and Nilotic people from the Western, basically from the Western. So, Kushites and Nilotic people, by one of the ancestral groups of the Kikuyu, the name Dagisho, possible the 10th of the Dagisho was possibly the 10th of the full 9 clans in the oral tradition. We spoke about the 9 clans of the Agekoyo or Gekoyo, which came up with the Kikuyu tribe. So Dagisho is basically the 10th clan that came up with circumcision, which is, like we say, the rite of passage from childhood to adulthood. And it brought with itself so many responsibilities, not only to one's individual life but also to the society. It marked that the person was was able to defend the society and also to protect the society and also to provide and to bear kids in his own family or in a family of himself and a woman. Now, circumcision was adopted 5 centuries ago, which is sometimes back many years ago. So I think we're going to stop there. This was basically an introduction to circumcision, what it is, what it brought itself, what it helped, why it was done, and the meaning of it in the society. Remember, we said circumcision is called Irua. Irua Reimwana, which is circumcision of the boys. Irua Rea Airetu, circumcision of the girls. Irua Rea Airetu, it's illegal. It's no longer practiced in Kenya, and it is wrong to do it. It is no longer done at all. Now, we also have Itora, which is that village. When the person or the man or the boy, the Imwana, was circumcised, they were now fully members of the Itora. They were recognized in the village and they were part of the village, and they could get duties to keep the village together and to also continue to to provide, and even to, like we said, to defend the village, or even to protect it from people, from invaders or people who came from outside. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to do another video on the continuation of circumcision, or Irua. And yeah, let's see us next time. I wish you all a good night, and keep subscribing, sharing, commenting, and give me a like where I deserve. Thank you so much. Until next time, good night and goodbye.